college stress, you have your finals, your tests, your social life, your work life, but to some extent, an excess amount of stress is not normal. Jane Doe was an anonymous college student who struggled with mental health issues in college. She was diagnosed with depression her sophomore year, and she was unable to leave her room during finals week and would cry hysterically due to stress. She was embarrassed and worried about the stigma that comes with mental health in college. Sadly, this behavior is not uncommon. 39% of students have been diagnosed with at least one mental health illness, and the percent of students who have considered suicide jumped from 6% to 11% just last year. Matter of fact is that mental health continues to become a greater problem in our society, even though it's talked about more openly, which is a change in how mental health used to be. As a culture, we need to change the stigma around mental health and promote getting the services needed before it's too late and we're taking actions after the fact. We all will experience times in our life where we will be tried and there will be tribulations that challenge our mental health, and if we don't struggle ourselves, we will know someone that struggles. The thing about mental health is it doesn't discriminate. An estimated 26% of Americans ages 18 and older, which is about 1 in 4 adults, suffered from a diagnosable mental health disorder. Genders, races, different backgrounds, people of all different types of backgrounds struggle with mental health. And we've seen it in celebrities often, just to name a few: Prince Harry, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, Adele, and Avicii, who actually committed suicide because of his mental health battle. So what's the big deal? Mental health is a widespread problem, and it continues to get bigger every year, not smaller, even though we have more technology and resources. So talking about someone that is affected personally by mental health, Lauren Trujillo she didn't personally struggle with it, but her mom battled mental health her entire life and ultimately took her own life and jumped into the Grand Canyon. So Lauren obviously had the post-traumatic stress of her mom committing suicide, and her mom had actually called her before and she had declined it because typically her mom was in a break and it was stressful for her as she was trying to grow up and find herself. So the rest of her life she spent, in hindsight, wondering if she had answered the phone call, would her mom still be here? So kind of the ramification of this, college students are going through enough stress on their own, and then you add in either your own mental health or the mental health of someone that you love, and your mental health is at risk as well. And she quoted, "We're not supposed to blame ourselves when someone we love kills ourselves, but we often do anyway. What if I hadn't moved away? What if I kept quiet about my stepfather? What if I had answered her phone call?" So you can obviously see that she's questioning her own life at this point. Regarding universities, navigating the crisis, approximately 1,100 college students commit suicide every year, which I thought was pretty staggering results. And it's the second leading cause of death in college students, which is something that we can control, and it's not necessarily like a nature thing. 12% of college students report the occurrence of suicide ideation during their 4 years of school, which means that they've thought about killing themselves at least once. Again, another staggering result because you probably know someone that had that thought, and you may not even know. This number also continues to grow at a detrimental rate, and with mental health being more openly talked about, again, we should see the opposite results, not an increase. It definitely is an epidemic among colleges. I did some research about some of the recent cases, and this UF doctoral student committed suicide on campus at Florida, which you never saw about in the news, but he had committed academic dishonesty and he couldn't bear the fact of what people would think about him if they found out his research was a fraud, so he hung himself in his classroom. In December of 2019 alone, Rowan University experienced 3 suicides in a matter of 2 months, which again is too much for a small college like Rowan. And Hamilton College knew that Graham Burton was struggling with mental health, but failed to assist him before he hung himself in his dorm room. And his parents actually had no idea, and the school didn't even contact the parents right away, so they had to contact them to do a wellness check to find out that he had committed suicide. Professionals have a lot of opinions on suicide and whether it's genetics or environment. Dr. Robert Gallagher, he actually surveys the school counseling centers every year based on their patient data, and he reported that 90% of college counseling centers saw an increase of students with severe pathology. So they're seeing not just stress, not just anxiety, like severe depression, severe anxiety to where it's like crippling their everyday life. So why does this matter to you? We're all college students. Not only are we most likely to struggle with mental health, but we're also at the most vulnerable age for mental health to develop. 50% of mental health cases began by age 14 and 75 by age 24. So we're right in that sweet spot of when you might develop a mental health illness. This makes it increasingly more likely that you or someone that you love is affected during their collegiate experience. How to tackle it? There's a lot of different ways, and again, speculations about what should be done about mental health and if it's the campus's place to get involved. But a lot of college campuses are implementing online programs that kind of are that first step before professional help is needed, and it allows for students to take the step on their own in a confidential way. They don't have to maybe go see a counselor right away, because everyone was raised differently, and some people see getting help as a weakness. So something that I think is really cool is this is a reality check about where you are and how you're feeling, and you can take it to see if maybe you need that extra help. So if you're having a breakdown, or maybe it's just a bad day and you're like losing your mind, we've all had them. You can take this and kind of get a reality check, like, yes, I am feeling what I'm feeling, or no, I'm okay, and maybe these feelings will pass. Benjamin Johnson, who is an EMT at a university, actually said that he didn't see many physical emergencies. What they were seeing more calls from were people that were in distress from a mental breakdown. So someone that is trained to deal with emergency accidents, they're actually dealing more with mental health on college campuses than the actual accidents themselves. And another kind of cool, positive thing about mental health, MIT has implemented RAC Week, which is Random Act of Kindness Week, where students can interact with teachers and fellow classmates on campus, and they do different positive reinforcement things to just, maybe if you're having a bad day, like they always say, smile at someone, that might change their day. They've kind of established this on a campus as a whole. And then how can you personally counteract mental illness? If you're feeling mentally unstable, it's okay to need help, and that's something that you have to recognize, but you have to allow yourself to feel that way. It takes away the fear of meeting someone new if you're going ahead and going to the counseling center and talking to them just on a personal basis and not in like, I need help right now. Because chances are you might never need them, but you might have a friend that needs them, so you're able to refer them. This is being done at St. Clara University, as teachers are using and creating assignments that like create the feeling that asking for help is okay and that it's not a bad stigma or you're not weak or anything like that. So they're actually implementing that into their coursework. And then self-educating, knowing what it feels like to be struggling with mental health or what signs are in other people. The more that you know, the more you'll be able to help yourself or other people. And this promotes social and emotional competency to build resilience in all environments. So seizing the opportunity, if these solutions are implemented, more of our peers will live healthy lives, both mentally and physically. And we need the education systems in society to break the stigma, but there are steps that we can also take on our own and have our own accountability. So the choice is ours. We have the difference to make a difference in our communities, at our school or work around us. But it starts with one person and opening the conversation about mental health, not waiting for the conversation to start, but being the one to start it. And if you are at risk, or anyone that you know is at risk, using the hotline, which is up here.